Hey, my name is Jo Ellen Whitney, and I'm a senior attorney here at Dentons Davis Brown, and I chair our labor and employment law group in Iowa. So what you've clicked onto is our video series that's really intended to give you some practical tips, some advice, all in relationship to employment law and managing people. One of the good things about this is I totally love what I do, right? Employment law for me is really the most fun that I could have as a lawyer. Employment law is all about people. It's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but that does mean that it is very complicated and it can be really confusing. While I like to help people figure out their problems, the problems when we talk about people can be very complicated. Managing people is a lot like hanging out with the Looney Tunes characters, right? You think you're going one way and the next thing you know, you're off to chaos. So a couple of things to remember is one, people are really unpredictable. They do a lot of things that you're not going to think about. They're going to process things differently than you do. So you have to really think about what you're doing when you're managing people or when you're thinking about employment law. The other thing is that, employment law is very fact specific. So you could bring something to your attorney or you could bring something to a manager. You could bring three and you could think they're all the exact same thing. They're all the same problem. They'll all have the same resolution. But when we start to look or dig or ask the right questions, they could be entirely different things under the surface, right? So facts really matter. And a pro tip, when you're talking to other managers, when you're talking to your attorney, that kind of thing, the more facts you have, the better. Right? Because the facts really matter in employment law. Then the third thing is that employment law is really complicated and it changes all of the time. It'll change 3 times before breakfast. If you want nice, stable law, you don't do employment law, right? It will change all of the time. There's a ton of cases. People are changing their mind all the time. Our state legislature, our federal legislature, all of those things change a lot. And so it's going to keep changing. So you need to kind of keep an eye on that and understand where that's going. That's a long way to say that this is these videos, they're meant to be sort of a tool in the toolbox, right? They're not meant to replace your relationships with your team. You need to have good relationships with HR, with other members of your team, so you can kind of assess problems and move forward within what you need to do in your company. And it's certainly not replacing anything that you would do with your attorney, right? Because the facts are going to matter, the law of your area is going to matter, your industry might matter. All of those things are important. So that's really kind of the meat of what our disclaimer is when we talk about these things. We've also linked our more formal disclaimer to this. Thanks so much.